In fact, I'm going to remember to start recording this so I can put it up on the second channel as a VOD for the people who weren't there. Hello, people on the VOD. Hi, you're not here watching it live, so you're going to have to watch the VOD with a little bit of the intro cut off because I forgot to start recording. So, hey, I basically figure what we're going to do is we're going to play their 2024 look ahead video, and then we're just going to stop and talk about the things that they say every once in a while over the course of the video. And I'm just going to skip ahead past their sizzle reel because that's just them patting themselves on the back for making stuff.
I'm Andre, also known as Meddler.
And I'm Jeremy, aka Right Brightman. Welcome back. We hope you all had a wonderful and happy holiday season, and we're really excited to welcome you to season 2024.
Now, we're filming this video in early November, so anything that happens between now and the start of the season won't be covered in this video. Today, we're going to be joined by more folks from across the league team to talk about some of the things coming in 2024, like ranked updates, new champions, some information about Arcane Season 2.
Oh, by the way, I should remember, again, I am bad at streaming. I should remember to shout out people for subscribing. Actually, shouldn't I? That's a thing you're supposed to do, actually. So, Real Jurassicer, thank you for subscribing. Jimmy McGee, thank you. Cherry Luna, Upklutzy, something like that. And then, oh my god, Vatari Feticero, I think. Thank you for subscribing. Efelquian Lucas Quiveleth, Nibelung, Quinn the Voice, Javi546, Omar Underwood, Kojanga. Oh no, wait, those are from last month. I'm going way too far back in the history. Aha! Elvira, Luna Confusion, Rudig 2. All of you, thank you. Thank you very much. Stop subscribing now. Stop giving me money. I don't want it.
And some updates
I do
on
want it,
esports.
but...
Now, before we get started, don't forget that when you jump into a game in 5 days, Summoner's Rift is going to look and feel a little bit different. Get ready.
Oh, good grief. Oh, God, gift subs. Thank you, Eidolon. Oh, it's you. It's always you, Eidolon. It's always you. I appreciate it, though. And actually, speaking of the changes, I've had this sort of half-formed ADHD plan. Mighty Or, thank you. This sort of half-formed ADHD plan in the back of my head that I wanted to get back into actually playing League of Legends a bit. But I don't want to play with, you know, League of Legends players, because we all know what they're like. And good lord, Quinini, I'm trying to talk! Stop doing this! But I want to play with, my community. Like, I wanted to see if maybe I can organize just some play sessions with, like, people on my Discord where we, like, find 10 people and we just play and have fun and we don't, you know, try hard and sweat our way through shit. So that's sort of a half-baked plan in the back of my head. Maybe in 2024, assuming I can get back on my fucking ADHD meds and actually organize it. Yeah, some ARAMs and like some normals and just like play games with people who actually want to have fun and not, you know, Yasuo mains who want to workshop their newest racial slurs.
For some new objectives, map changes, and updates to the core item system. And as a reminder, Season Start Cinematic is going to be releasing next week on January 10th.
Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Long Harrison, the lead gameplay designer for League.
I'm gonna get you, mail.
To talk to you all about some of our thoughts on Ranked, some of our learnings from the changes we made last year, and what we want to do this year to help make your climbs better for Season 2024. Last year, we added Emerald tier and increased LP gains to help alleviate any pain from increasing the number of rank resets each year.
Right, I don't have a lot to talk about with Ranked because I don't play it, so let's just skip ahead to the champions, shall we?
Hi everyone, I'm Lexi Gao, aka Riot Lexical, the Champions team lead.
And I'm Soap May, also known as Soapbox, production lead on the Champions team.
We've been working on Skarner's update.
So Skarner. Man, I should do a video about Skarner. Like, I should do a video about Skarner and, like, the whole background for why they're changing him and why they're doing what they're doing. But that sort of ties it, because I've been working on the script for a video about canon in League of Legends, like what's canon and why it's a really bad idea that they're making Arcane canon, like why they really fucking shouldn't do that. Like they're gonna do it anyway, because we can't stop them now, but why it's a bad idea and why it's gonna cause problems, which I'm right about. And like Skarner sort of fits into that as well. Because the reason why they're changing him the way that they are is, I think, I'm reasonably convinced that part of the reason why Skarner is turning out the way that he is because they're changing him towards, like, the possibility that they're changing him towards the assumption that Arcane will be canon in the future, so they're making him compatible with whatever. Thank you very much, Wraith Like Toughly, for gifting that sub.
Oh, all the problems, like his any Piltover / Zound champ not affected by this.
No, like making Arcane canon is a terrible fucking idea. It breaks some pretty fundamental things about the Runeterra universe that they shouldn't break just because the Netflix show went good. But I'm writing a video about it. I shouldn't talk about that now. But Skarner, like, oh,
Now,
I have thoughts.
And we've been polishing him up to be ready for his big day. Meanwhile, he's...
Because the one thing about him is he looks so fucking drab.
Month under my belt. 3 Speaking of Arcane versions, who do you believe will receive the VGU?
Oh, it's gonna be Victor.
Community seems certain that it's either going to be Cinched or Victor.
Oh, it's Victor. I will bet you money it's Victor, who's gonna get the VGU. But yeah, like Skarner, he looks so drab. Like there's a lot of stuff about this rework that I like. Like I like the triple tails. That makes him that makes him kind of more special and interesting than just a scorpion. And it allows for some opportunities to do things with him in skins in terms of characters. I like the much more cohesive design. I like that they've sort of taken like better inspiration from like arthropods of various kinds. Like I see some trilobite in there. I like a lot of stuff about it, but the colors are so fucking drab. Like, he's supposed to be from Ishtal, right? Like, he's supposed to be like a jungle champion from, like... So even if you want to make him minerals or stone or whatever, like, there's a lot you could do to... Because, like, this whole color surface right here, like, just his entire back is just a flat color. And that's really, really unusual for a League of Legends champion, especially. Like, League of Legends champions, whatever else they are, they tend to be bright and bold. Like, they tend to have, like, shit, like, again, look at Smolder, like, with all of the color that he's got going on. So Skarner being so fucking drab is, like... That is genuinely kind of surprising to me, and it makes me feel like this might not be finished. Like, I hope it's not finished. I hope this isn't, like, a final version of him, because... all of that shit needs to have its colors bumped up. Like, something needs to be going on his back. Like, give him some fucking inscriptions or, like, carvings or anything. Just give him something.
Getting ready for some fun too.
Along the back here, because he looks so God, more gifts, help! I'm trying to talk. Thank you, Moon Amarok. I should not have made the Navin voice that announces that. But yeah, he looks
Last
very
time we talked about Skarner,
drab.
We showed his gameplay, but we never really talked about
Yes,
his
it's
lore.
Crab Rave. He's
Skarner
dancing
was a
Crab
founding
Rave.
member of the Yuntal, where he helped guide and shape Ishtal into the
Because, like, founding member of the Yuntal, right? That's the... So, that explains the color choice of, like, this teal, right? Because that's the same color, more or less the same color Kiana wears on her dress, right? So, like, okay, so that sort of ties that aesthetically, visually into that. But, like, put some gold on him, then? Like, put some gold on him, give him some ceremony... Because there's a little bit of that, like, in, like, the collar around his neck thing, right? And, like, the carvings and, like, the... tattoos, I guess, on his claws and stuff. That's all very cool. I am really missing more of a sense of this guy is like essentially a high priest of Ishtal. Like, this guy's essentially like a guardian deity or a founding character of Ishtal. Like, he needs something. Like, there needs to be some kind of like symbols of rank, something to show that he's not just a monster but is like part of a civilization in a thing. That's like, there's some problematic things about that in terms of like how we visually code for air quotes being civilized. But one of the usual visual signifiers of this guy is part of a civilization is some form of adornment, like clothing, jewelry, any form of like, and I think like the carvings, the markings that he's got, they do a good job of like implying that like, oh, okay, this is someone who decorates themselves because they are a higher thinking being and like they're part of a culture. That's cool, but it's too sparse. Like all of this being naked and empty, and like his tails, and there being nothing except like just on his arms and his head. It's like that feels too much like this is someone who's decorating their pet, and not enough like what I'm missing is a sense of self-decoration. I think is what I'm trying to get at. It's self-decoration. I'm missing a sense that he himself is decorating himself in some way. That tells us something about who he is, what he values, what his aesthetics are, like how he wants to present himself. And that's kind of missing from him, especially if he's supposed to be like a founding member of the junta, like one of the very important cultural like characters in Ishtal. Is like I'm missing something, but you know.
Region it is now. He is, however, very suspicious of the outside world and believes that Ishtal should be isolated to be safe.
Oh God, and the politics of that, like they drop that very, very gently, right? Like he's suspicious of the outside world. He believes Ishtal should be isolated to be safe. It's like, okay, so he's a conservative. He's a conservative. He is, like, that makes him kind of akin to Volibear in a sense, like, a little bit along the same spectrum. He is xenophobic. Okay, cool. Is League of Legends going to engage with that at all? Like, the politics of isolationism and, like, seeing the other as the enemy and, like creating the artificial divide between the imagined in-group based on a geographical location in the out. Is League of Legends going to deal with that at all, even a little bit? Not a fascist necessarily. Like, the fascism has a little bit more to it than just that, but they made him right-wing. Like, he is now a right-winger. He is now like a build-the-wall guy. Which... And I'm not opposed to that. Like, I'm not opposed to having characters who are that way. Like, who believe those things and who have those positions. Like, I'm not opposed to exploring those political dimensions. It's just, I don't trust that Riot Games, and especially not in the context of League of fucking Legends, are capable of actually exploring that. I think because what Riot usually does is they just present it as equivalent to anything else, right? Like, Riot are centrists, right? Like, it's a centrist liberal company, and they sort of like, oh, well, this is a valid political position that should simply be presented on its own terms, and then we're not going to interrogate it. We don't have an opinion on it. We don't have opinions. Riot Games has no opinions about anything. We wouldn't want to tell you what to think about anything, at least not openly. So we're just going to present it to you. We're just going to put it here, and then it's neutral because we just put it there and we didn't comment on it at all. So that means we're neutral, and you make up your mind, and then there's no politics, right? Then if we just pretend like we don't have a position, then everything we do is politically neutral. So therefore, I'm worried about that a little bit, because like they didn't really engage with it on Volibear, who is like an out-and-out blood and soil kind of fascistic guy, like in the way that he's expressed. And again, I like that about Volibear. I like that, like, one of the expressions of like the Freljord pantheon is this hyper-conservative, like, really sort of like Darwinian asshole who is like, oh, everything is about killing people and being strong, like who is incapable of engaging with the idea. Hey, what if someone's disabled though? Like, what if someone has a physical condition that renders them unable to demonstrate strength in the specific way that you value? What about them? They just have to die, you say. Okay, right. I don't mind that, but again, League of Legends doesn't know how to fucking engage with it. League of Legends will not engage with it, refuses to engage with it. It just presents it as this is a thing that exists, and we don't know. Opinions? No, we don't have opinions. We don't think of things. We have no positions politically as a company, except of course Riot does. I will remind you that one of the CEOs of Riot, like Mark Merrill Trindamere, the guy who named that champion, openly donates to both Republicans and Democrats. Like, he's that kind of tech bro guy, right? Like, he just donates to whatever political side he thinks will be advantageous to him and his in-group, right? He's part of those, like, horrible neoliberal nonpartisan networks for like restoring civility to political discourse shit, like the thing of like, no, we can reason with the fascists, we just have to talk to them and come to a mutual agreement, so we'll just keep moving towards them, and then when they move away from us, we'll just follow them to the right all the time forever. Like, he's one of those guys, right? And that sort of infects Riot as a company, and colors a lot of what Riot does. Whomst be writing to me on Discord? More to the point, why is that noise not suppressed? Oh, right, okay. I'll just close Discord down. I don't want that. I don't want everyone to get triggered about, like, whether or not they got a message. Anyway, did they keep the whole Seraphine uses Skarner's people for instrument shtick? They're gonna retcon that. Like, that's part of what they're going to do when they make Arcane canon. They're going to retcon the Brackern out of existence completely, like, as they existed before. And now it's going to be Skarner is... I really feel like they're probably going to remove the Brackern entirely, and Skarner is going to be, like, a singular character. Like, there's not going to be any other people like Skarner. He's going to be just him. And all of his species are either extinct, and he made Ishtal in order to protect himself, or there's going to be like a few of them left in Ishtal, and that's the only place they live, and that's the reason why he's like scared and xenophobic about the outside world, is because his people went through an apocalypse kind of thing, which is like...
And he will not hesitate to run down intruders to keep it that way. We are currently finishing up Skarner's VGU, and we can't wait for you to skitter across the rift in the first half of the year.
Okay, but he needs a little more
Skarner,
detail. Come on.
We're working on 2 other champion updates. The first one is for a champion we haven't talked about before, but plays a pretty big role in a show that maybe you heard about.
Ambessa.
Arcane. We want to bring their Arcane...
I was genuinely shocked when they said they're gonna do Ambessa. That, like, they are actually gonna pull the trigger on putting Ambessa in League of Legends. That is a thing that I'm actually kind of excited about. We'll talk about that once they actually talk about it.
We want to bring their Arcane version to the Rift with updated visuals and VO, while also giving some love to their gameplay. You can expect to see them early next year after the 2nd season is over. As for what comes after the Arcane-inspired VGU, we're excited to announce that we'll finally be tackling Shyvana.
She has a great theme and has become an iconic part of the League roster.
Okay, Shyvana. Right. So, I've had in the back of my head, like, a building a better Shyvana video for, like, a couple of years at this point. Haven't pulled the trigger on it. But I will say, it's like, assuming that this concept art is at all reflective of where they're going with Shyvana, I don't necessarily mind it. It's just, I don't trust them. I really don't trust Riot to do anything this wild. I think, looking at history, going through the concept phase and, like, refining and getting notes. So, okay, so let's actually talk about this. The thing that happens, right, as we all, like, if you follow League of Legends and you follow the concept art of the game and all that, right, what you know is that you have seen sketches of champions, like, from the earliest stages of ideation many times before, where you kind of go, holy shit, that's such a cool concept for a character. Why the fuck didn't they go with that? Like, why didn't... Oh, thank you very much for subscribing, Darkrukia Demon and Eswin. And Brainlet Scientist, thank you very much also. What happens is that Was that a third? Yeah. What happens is that artists will come up with all these cool, rather radical, like kind of out there concepts. And these concepts are not ready to go into League of Legends. Like, we can just look at them and see that, like, there's a lot of, like, shape language refinement that needs to be done here. There's a lot of, like, things that need to be reined in. There's a lot of clarity that's lacking in all of these designs. So they do need to be refined and, go through a process of feedback and iteration before anything like this is ready to be put into the game, right? Shyvana, for example, you might want to, like, none of these have much of a Demacian aesthetic. Maybe you want to incorporate some of that to sort of show her relationship of belonging in the Demacian region. Like, there's a lot of things there. And over the course of that process, right, first, it's the artists who are working together. Like, the little champion design team, they themselves are working together, coming up with concepts, rapidly iterating, going through various thoughts and like processes, and like they're handing it over to some of the 3D artists to sort of try and render like concepts of what would this look like on the Rift. They debate over shape language, they debate over direction, they talk to the writers. Like, that's all a very good creative collaborative process, right? What happens next is, at some point, all of the work that they're doing gets sent along to, let's call them a stakeholder, right? This is someone who has some sort of interest in the design of the champions. Could be someone from marketing, could be people from legal who have to check that the champions aren't, like, that the character designs aren't accidentally evoking some cultural stereotype or something illegal in a particular territory that they're not allowed to do. Like, it gets sent along to people who are not creatives, but whose job it is to provide feedback on whatever is sent to them, right? And even if everyone involved with that process is acting in good faith, like everyone is just trying to create the best champion that they can, when you have people who are not themselves creative, but whose whole job is to provide feedback on creative things, regardless of whether or not they feel like they have something good or valuable to add, what happens is that like they'll be, okay, I need to provide feedback on this, so I'll think through what could be a possible concern, what could be something like, have you considered taking it in this direction? And like, when you do that over and over and over and over and over again, like when you have 10, 15, 20, 30 layers of people giving feedback, people adding, like voicing concerns and adding things and speaking from the perspective of their chosen field. Like the lawyer, for example, is always going to tell them, hey, maybe pull back on this, maybe pull back on that. We don't want to get angry letters about this thing. And they're just doing their job, right? Like, they're not trying to make the design worse, but they're constantly advocating from their point of view. And when you have like 50 people all advocating,
Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you very much, Aaron Jaeger. When you have 50 people all arguing for their own point of view from every possible direction, what happens is that any design that gets fed through that process, any design, it doesn't matter, any kind of design will inevitably be sanded down towards the lowest common denominator, because the lowest common denominator is the thing that will satisfy the concerns of the highest number of people, right? And this is endemic to the process in anything as large as League of Legends. Anything where you have thousands of people working on it across a dozen territories and God knows how many offices, and so many people have to look at it over and over and over again, there is always going to happen that sanding down process. Everything that's sort of creative and unique and special will get sanded down. And that's not anyone's fault. It's not even really Riot's fault as a company. It's just, that's what happens when you have so many stakeholders. Like, that's just the thing that happens. Even if everyone involved in the process acts in good faith, the system produces things that regress towards the mean. That will always happen. It happens at Disney, it happens at Riot, it happens at Blizzard, it happens anything that's big enough, this happens, right? And the thing that pulls cool creative work, like Arcane, for example, the thing at Riot that historically pulls really cool, out there, interesting creative projects through is that someone at the company who has power and influence, like Christian Linke and Alex Yee, who like were the main sort of leads on Arcane, whose passion really pulled that through. Because Preco, Christian Linke, he was a composer at Riot for many, many years. He's an old head at Riot. He has a lot of institutional influence. He has a lot of like clout and seniority at Riot. And that was why he was able to insist on a vision, right? He was able to insist, no. Fuck all of these stakeholders, fuck all of these concerns. We're going to do it this way because we have a vision. He was able to fight for that because he had the position and the power to do that. And I don't think that there's going to be anyone on the Shyvana redesign team who has that kind of clout and power, right? Like, there isn't going to be anyone with a radical vision and the clout and the power to pull it through. So these are all very cool sketches for a Shyvana rework. Like, I like that all of them emphasize wildness. All of them, like, all this spiky Bakugo hair, all of these, like, spikes and shards, and, like, all this anger, all this power. All of this shit is cool. All of it is going to get sanded down. All of it is going to get, like smoothed down. She's going to get prettier. She's going to get skinnier. Like, she's going to get more conventionally attractive. She's going to get more anime. That's just going to happen. And so the question is, how far is he going to get sanded down, right? Like, how far is she going to get regressed to the lowest common denominator? Like, are we just going to get a straight-up anime girl Shyvana? Are we just going to get, like, Genshin Impact Shyvana? Or is someone in the process going to be able to, like, stand their ground and say, no, this we fucking need a muscle mommy here. Like, we fucking need, like, a wild feral gonna murder you and pull out your intestines, like, queen bitch Shyvana, right? Like, is someone gonna be able to stand their ground on that? I hope so. That would be very cool. League of Legends kind of needs that. Like, and I also think, especially because, like, we have Illaoi, right? Like, who's sort of the archetypal muscle mommy of League of Legends. But Illaoi is also like a priestess. She's also quite put together. She's like the domineering, gonna test your spirit kind of thing. We need someone who's fucking feral. Like, we need someone who's like feral, wild, a berserker character who also happens to be a woman. I would very much like that. So I'm kind of hoping that stays through. But as I've just, like, expressed, the process of creation that happens in a corporate environment might make that impossible. Because these things are systemic, right? Like, as someone mentioned in chat just a moment ago, this is a truism that exists in the animation industry, is that, like, for people of color who work in the animation industry, when they are asked to design characters of color for a show, they know, all of them know, because they talk to each other, make them their skin as dark as you can possibly get away with at the start. Like, start at the darkest possible skin you can get away with, because you know, as a character designer, you know from experience, character designers know from experience that over the course of the process of iterating and iterating and iterating, their skin tone will be at least 5 grades lighter by the end. Like, that just happens. It doesn't fucking matter where you try to start, like how bright you try. They'll get brighter by the end. They'll get whiter by the end, because colorism is one of those implicit biases that just exists on a systemic level through the whole process. And it doesn't mean, like, there doesn't need to be some, like, insane, like, evil, like shouldn't say insane, that's kind of sanism, but like there doesn't have to be some like frothing at the mouth KKK racist at some point saying, no, make them white. There doesn't have to be that, because all there has to happen is, like, 50 people, all of whom say, could we try with some brighter colors? Could we try making them a little bit lighter, see how it works? Ooh, if they're dark, so dark, maybe some of the information is going to be lost on the screen. Maybe the contrast is going to be difficult to balance with the like, all these little concerns, none of which are motivated by explicit racism, none of which are motivated by, I hate black people or whatever, but which are motivated by, like, the structural white supremacy that exists in a society, which is that we're used to seeing white characters, we're used to seeing aesthetics that bias towards bright-skinned characters, and so when people have this assessment in the back of their head, what's a cool character design? Well, a lot of the character designs they have in the back of their head are going to be characters with bright skin, and so, like, it's just by degrees, by little shavings, you just sort of default towards a lowest common denominator, which tends to be white, right? Like, that's the thing that's difficult sometimes to wrap your head around, is that there really doesn't need to be any one individual racist asshole sitting at the company forcing these things to happen. The system itself reproduces these biases over and over and over again, like erosion that happens, right? And pushing against that is really hard. And it's usually not something any one person can do. Now that I think about Lucian, Senna, and Cassandra all tend to have the same black skin tone color. Yeah, and if you pay attention to, like, to the characters of color in League of Legends and how their skin tone changes across the skins that are made for them and across their appearances in different kinds of media, it tends to be pretty fucking inconsistent. Like I've talked about in Italy before, who's like white or South American or black or Asian, sort of just depending on how the character design artist on the splash art feels that particular day, right? Which is like, oh boy, not good. Anyway, like I said, I don't think I have a video in me about a Shyvana rework yet because I want to see the next stage. These are very early concept sketches. They mean nothing. I hope we go with something along these lines. But when we get towards like the next stage of the process, I'll probably do a video about her.
We're thinking about refining and progressing who she is and tuning up her gameplay instead of a complete overhaul on her narrative and themes. Think more Udyr and less Skarner. But we want to be transparent about her timeline. Shyvana's VGU will not be released until 2025.
So I have
after
time.
the Arcane VGU.
Okay, now on to the new champions. We've been teasing a cute, small ADC that will be swooping into the rift soon.
Right.
Smolder,
Oh my god. Oh, he looks so horrifying. That's a child! That's a human child! That's a human baby child with whose head is on the dragon body. I cannot. This is a Disney face. This is like, that's a human nose. That's a human mouth. Those are human eyes. It's a human face on a dragon body, and it's like, because the dragon body actually looks really cool. That's the other thing about Smolder, right? Like, is that so much of his design is actually really good. I like the blue and like that dark burgundy red. I like the bright orange of the flames on the thing. Like the contrast against that, like the bright reds that flare up in like his fire horns and all of that. All of that shit is really good. But then they put a human baby face on it. It's the face of a human baby. And I can't. I fucking can't.
Oh no!
The squash. Again, his animation is really good. I love his squash and stretch. Like, there's a lot of great expressive animation being done with him. But that's the face of a human baby. What is that head? That's a human baby face. Like, that's not a and that's the thing. If you told me, hey, in League of Legends, they made a new champion who's a baby dragon, I'd be like, holy shit, yes, a baby dragon? I want to play a baby dragon. Baby dragons are cool. And then that is not a baby dragon. That's a dragon who was like, who got isekai'd into the Full Metal Alchemist universe and met Sho Tucker and got fused with a human baby. But it's not a baby dragon. It's a dragon with a baby's face awkwardly stitched to its head. Like, why does he have skin tone? That's the other thing. Why? Where are his scales? Why does he not have skin tone? Why does he have skin tone on his face like human baby child? Why does he have that? Why does he have that instead of scales like a lizard, like a dragon? Like all of the dragons in League of Legends, I checked every single dragon that has ever been represented in League of Legends, in Legends of Runeterra, in League of Legends lore. All of them do not have flesh faces. They don't have fleshy face. They have scales. They have scales on their faces. He doesn't, that's the thing. He doesn't look like a dragon. He does not look like a dragon, right? That's the fundamental problem here, is that he doesn't look like a dragon. He looks like a human child in a really elaborate dragon costume. And that's the other thing is, hang on, let me just pull this fucking shit up. DreamWorks, Dragon Rescue Writers, right? So DreamWorks has been pumping out 1 million tons of like How to Train Your Dragons spin-offs. Like, just good God, truly so fucking many of them. Just so many. And this is DreamWorks Dragon Rescue Writers, which I think is basically their version of like Dragon Paw Patrol. I haven't seen it, but I was looking around for like how other children's media design like cute, appealing dragons. And like, this is what you fucking, if you want like a children's cartoon mascot dragon, right? Like something that's cute, something that's appealing, something that works nicely with toys. This is how you do that. It's right there. Like, this is how you design dragons, interesting, diverse, different dragons with different shape language that look like that. Like, it's a little bit Lilo and Stitch with the pink one, like where you can see like, oh, one of them has eyelashes, so that's the girl. It's a little lame, but it's like there's a model for how to do that, where it's still big eyes and appealing, and they have like the baby face and like the Disney face thing going on. You can still do that, but you fucking you don't put the baby human face on the baby dragon. Just not. Why does he have a human face? I don't understand. I'm genuinely baffled. I am confused. Why does Smolder have a human face? Because this shit has been focus tested. This shit has been focus tested to be like adorable and cute and sell merchandise and plushies. This model of how to do that is commercially very well tested. If you just wanted to make something that's cute and commercially viable, there you go. It's here. It is. That is how you do that, right? And there's countless other examples. Like, you can watch any fucking children's TV show with dragons in it, and you'll see 1,000 designs like this. They're everywhere, but I don't. Why? This looks like a rejected. Like, he looks like a mascot character from like an 80s cartoon, like, you know, Pirates of Darkwater and Thundercats, and like shit like that. Like, that was like a mascot that was created by an overworked, underpaid animation house in Germany called Dick or something like that. Like, that's what he looks like. He comes from there, and I don't. He looks like he's from a fucking Shark Tale. It's a Shark Tale. That's what it looks like. It's this shit. Right? It's this. That's what that's what this is. I don't know why they did that. Why did you make him look like he's from a Shark Tale? You could have made you have baby dragons in League of Legends. The dragon trainers have them. You could have, and it would have been great. It would have been popular. Why does he have the baby human? Moving on. It's just, I don't understand. I don't understand why they went with this aesthetic. I don't get it. I don't know how that happened. Like, even because we talked about like the process of sanding things down and like the homogenization of a corporate production process. And the thing about it, the corporate production process is usually supposed to prevent shit like this. Right? Like, that's usually supposed to make that not happen instead of happen. So I don't get it. His animation is so cute. Like, again, there's so much to like about Smolder. I want to stress this. There's so much to like about him. His color scheme is great. His animation is great. I'm maybe not 100% sold on the voice because he just kind of seems to have copied Nunu's personality. But it's like...
Hi, I'm Smolder.
But it's the face. The fucking face. I cannot get past the face.
Who's the best dragon? I'm the best dragon. Hey, Mom, what are the fire thingies next to my ears called? Oh, okay. Was that me? Whoa.
That's the other thing. His mouth is human. He has a human mouth. Why does he has the... It's one of the big things, actually, in terms of what makes him... Because if he had just had a dragon mouth, right? If he had just had a dragon mouth that, like, sort of splits open like a jaw that opens in the same way that dragon does, sure, absolutely. Then I think the eyes and the fleshy face would still be weird, but it would be okay. Like, it wouldn't be so bad. But the human mouth, and as people are pointing out in chat, like, it's kind of the ugly Sonic problem a little bit. Like, it's that the human mouth on the thing that doesn't quite look like a human is like, why does he have lips, for example? He's a lizard. He shouldn't have lips. Like, that should not be a thing that he has. So why does he have lips? And thank you for subscribing, Ganon Doodles. It's like, oh boy, My Little Pony design, yeah, like I pointed out in my short, it's very much like a My Little Pony design, but actually it's worse, because like My Little Pony has dragons in the new 3D animated show. I went and looked them up.
Hey, Skyen, Always a treat to hear your ants.
Thank you, Here Resulted. I went and looked them up, and they actually look better than this. Actually, let me find it. What's it called? My Little Pony New Generation. I think Spike from the old cartoon, like, made a cameo or something. Well, actually, like, My Little Pony is actually not a bad place to draw comparisons, so let me just get that in there. Like there, like that's again, if we're sticking with the very sort of stylized mascot design for a character who's supposed to be like sort of childish and appealing and like, you can still do that, but one of the things you'll notice about the My Little Pony design for a dragon is that he doesn't have a fleshy face, right? Like they do the thing where the top half of the character scales all the way down, scale color all the way down, and then on the bottom we have like the fleshy bit, right? Like the bit that's like rich flesh that's like flexible so they can curl up and stuff like that. You don't put the flesh on the face because then it looks like a baby. But even like My Little Pony characters in the new version, which also don't look great because they are like Lauren Faust, who created like the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic design aesthetic, she created this very stylized, very, very two-dimensional 2D aesthetic, right? That worked for that show so long as it stayed in 2D. And with the new show, because 3D animation is cheaper and like 3D animators have a lower tendency to be unionized, they've transitioned into a 3D show where they're trying to adopt the aesthetic of Lauren Faust's 2D and like 2D style for the ponies into a 3D format, and it's not great. I don't think it works amazingly. But one thing you can see is that they act a little bit in deference to the anatomy of actual horses, in the sense that there is a clear snout that like pokes out forward and shapes what the mouth is able to do. It's still a human mouth. It's still, I don't like it. The mouths are too human, and it's not great. But there is a greater deference here, like a greater attention to the fact that it doesn't really work, where they've created a clear snout-like forward protrusion in the face that prevents it from being too human. That like stops just short of the worst parts of the uncanny valley. And Smolder doesn't have that. Smolder's face is flat like a pug. And it's a big part of why this doesn't look so good.
Look what I can do. Holy Smortal!
Also, none of them have skin patches. Yeah.
Where'd everybody go? Oh yeah.
Right? Like you can see it in the construction of his face. That like this is a Disney Rapunzel face. Right, like this is Disney's Rapunzel and Frozen. That's the facial construction that they've chosen, with like the long, flat nose ridge that goes into a nose that points forward, and like the mouth pointed forward a little bit with forward-pointing lips. Right, like that's the Frozen aesthetic, and that's not you don't want that for this. That's not good for that. Ugh. Does Smolder look kind of bat-like? Yeah, a little bit. Again, he would look like a dragon. Like, I think, like, a lot of people saw me going, he kind of doesn't look like a dragon. It's the face. If he had an elongated lizard-like face, he would look like a dragon completely. But because the face is wrong, and because some of his animation tends, like, that's also a thing, like, you can see in some of his animation, when he's not on all fours, his emoting, his acting is very human. Like it tends towards like that very human bipedalism. And that also, again, gives you the sense of this is not a baby dragon. This is a child in a dragon suit. It's really, like the one thing that would make this okay to me, and they haven't revealed his lore yet. The one thing that would make this okay to me is if they reveal that Smolder isn't a baby dragon. He is actually a human child who is like trapped in dragon form or something. Like if he's a dragon-human hybrid of some kind, okay, fine. Like I'll accept it. I still think there are better ways to do that. That's the only circumstance under which I can accept the way that he looks as storytelling, right? If it's storytelling, then okay, all right, I can roll with it. Then it's kind of cool that he looks a little bit horrifying. I guess it's okay that he's Uncanny Valley. But there has been no, like, first of all, that's just stepping on Shyvana's territory. And second of all, he is a dragon. Like, he's not a human. They haven't indicated that he's a human anywhere, and I don't think they're gonna. So,
Oh, yeah. Did you see that, Mom? I smoked him. Fine.
okay, I'm gonna move on from Smolder now, or I'm gonna go insane.
One of the goals we had for Smolder was to make a straightforward ADC. As all of the recent ADCs we've released...
Wait, his lore is out?
High-skilled champs.
Hang on. Let me just go find Spider Axe on Twitter. His lore is out? Is it up on Universe? Because if it's up on Universe, we're reading. I need to know. I need to know what the fuck is up with this thing. Ooh, we have his splash art. And the splash art fucking... Oh my god, okay. Oh no, we're not done. We're not done, we're not... This is his splash art, and do you notice something? Do you notice? Is there a thing you know? Do you notice that the mouth... He has a snout. He has a snout, first of all. And also the mouth is not a human mouth because it extends beyond... Oh my god, Riot! You knew! You know I'm right! You know, clearly, internally, you are aware that I am correct. Why did you not make him look like that then? Like, he still does, yeah, he still has human cheeks. Like, it's still a little uncanny. It's still not quite right. I still think he needs to have like a lizard snout, but there is a snout, right? Like there is like an actual dragon snout that points forward, that like brings into a mouth that breaks open along an extended jawline like a predator. It's the splash artist knows. The splash artist fucking knew. And they were like, oh god, what have they done with this model? This is horrible. I have to save them. And they tried. They tried their very best. It's still not right. It's still not great. It's still not perfect. But it's so much better. Just because it adds animalistic aspects to his character that his in-game model simply doesn't have. The same thing, actually, if you look at the anatomy of like his legs and his arms, these are much chunkier, like much more like a baby animal than they are in-game. Does his model read as uncanny from a normal gameplay perspective? Yes, it does. It's not as bad as when you zoom in, obviously. But yes, it does read a little bit weird. The splash artist tried. Like, the splash artist tried to save them. They tried, but they couldn't do it. Oh, God. Okay. Anyway, his lore. Was his lore out? I am trying to... Ooh, actually. Okay. Cool. Okay, this is Riot Insta's. Thank you, Spider Axe. I don't miss a lot about Twitter, but I do miss following Spider Axe on Twitter because he always gets the good shit. So Jason Namgung is like a Rioter who's been working with Riot for a long time, and he has before he joined Riot, he did like his own sort of like attempt at a visual update. This is like ages ago at this point. So we actually have someone on the team who can be passionate, who can like advocate for an interesting idea for Shyvana. Okay, because that was the thing we were talking about, is like one of the things that Shyvana is gonna need to get over the line and be like an interesting character design is someone on the team who's able to be like passionate and defend her and like speak in favor of like a strong artistic vision for her. Anyway, I can't find that his lore is out on Universe or anywhere, so that's gonna have to wait. But anyway.
Or very non-traditional. Aphelios, Samira, Zeri, Neela. We want to fulfill the fantasy of a little dragon who can focus on honing his fire-breathing skills.
And while Smolder...
Because, like, someone asked about the in-game perspective, right? Like, this is a little bit zoomed out, but in-game, his animation does the thing that a lot of champion animations do, where as he's moving across the rift, he points his face upwards, like he looks up in a very unnatural way. Set does the same thing, which gives him a sort of proud prancing, like haha, I'm cool and I'm prancing, like, which is a very cute animation, but it means you're staring directly at his horrifying face the whole fucking time. So the uncanniness is there as well.
Fire breathing skills.
And while Smolder may be working on his skills, his mom is never too far in the distance and is always ready to make an appearance when he needs her the most.
After Smolder, we'll be heading further north to cool off from all that dragon fire. Our Vestyan solo laner is someone...
Okay, so they're teasing a Vestyan solo laner. I don't think we're going to find much in this concept image. It looks a little bit photo bashed. Well, no, maybe not.
We've been wanting to bring to the Rift for a while, but the last time we tried that development took a bit of a detour and we ended up with Sylas.
And that's their tease, right? Is that, like, they were developing a champion and the design process took a detour. They ended up with Sylas, which to me says, okay, this is someone who can steal abilities. This is someone who can mirror other people's abilities, or like can do some kind of fuckery or trickery with that, because that was the whole basis for Sylas's design. And I'm curious about that.
But not to worry, the Champions team is back on the case and is focusing on making a new mid-range mage. We have another champion in the works who should be a familiar face to all of you. But we're going to hand things over to Riot Brightmoon and Meddler to talk a little bit more about our new upcoming champion.
What else in ability stealing is there after Viego and Sylas? A character who can reflect abilities. Like a character whose abilities are based on mirrors, like based on reflecting abilities back at opponents. Or like think Isabel and Villager in Smash Bros, like being able to steal an enemy champion's projectile out of the air and then fire it back at them at a later point, like that kind of thing.
Last year, we shared that Arcane Season 2 would be releasing globally this November. Everyone at Riot is really excited by the show, and we've been inspired to bring Arcane into Game More. We're excited to show you a small preview of one of the things the League team's been working on. So the first bit of Arcane you'll be seeing in the League will be Ambessa Madara. She'll bring Noxian domination to the Rift.
Riot, I swear to God, I need you to look me in the eye, right? You can't because I'm not on camera. But if you were here and I was looking you in the eye, you're a company, you don't have eyes. But if we were looking each other in the conceptual eyes, Riot, I need you to fucking listen to me. If you de-age her, if you fucking smooth out her skin and take away the wrinkles, and like the evidence and the scars, I'm coming for you. I am coming for you. I will go to the I will bring something horrible and I will spray paint your entire offices. Because the whole point of a character like Ambessa is that she is old. It is that she is damaged, that she has had a hard life, that she has been through many, many battles, that she is experienced. The age is part of the point. The scars are part of the point, right? Like they are the storytelling for the character, right? Like she needs to have the damage, because that's one of the things that about, like, I love Renata Glask. I love her so much. She's so fucking good. But Riot, like, didn't make her look old. Like they were so conservative about, she barely has like crow's feet. Like she barely has any signs of aging on her character a lot. And in some of the skins, like when you look at the character model, they have just like airbrushed the fuck out of her. And it's like that, but the age is the point. Like the point is that she's older. Like that's part of the character's power, is that she's older, that she's experienced, that she's seen things, that she's been through more shit than you have, right? Like, and it annoys me so much when they take that away in order to appeal to some like shallow idea of beauty, right? Like that, oh, if you are older than X, like if you have whatever smile lines or wrinkles or like visible aging in your skin, then you can't be pretty. And that's like, no, that's bullshit. That is misogynist bullshit, among other things. And it's like, it's simply not true. And also part of the power fantasy of the character, part of the storytelling, part of the idea of the character is that they are old, that they have been damaged, like that they are not perfect, that they are not conventionally beautiful. That's part of the point. So Riot, I swear to God, if you take that away from Mbessa, if you deliver like, oh, this is Mbessa 20 years ago, young Mbessa, we made her because you could see her in her prime, and it's like, no, she is in her prime. That's the point. Anyway, just so you know, Riot, I will spray paint your entire offices with rude words. Just so you know.
She'll bring Noxian domination to the Rift. And much like how she is in the show, she won't be for the faint of heart in game. Don't let her large stature fool you though. She brings both strength and speed, sidestepping attacks with surprising agility.
And Mbessa is only the first piece of Arcane coming to League this year. To celebrate our
That's the other thing they say here is, so Riot is in the process of, they announced this previously, that they're gonna make Arcane canon, right? They're gonna make Arcane canon, and Arcane is gonna be sort of the central point of canon. And a little bit of behind the scenes that happened is that after the success of Arcane, internally at Riot, the control over League of Legends lore was moved. It was moved away from the writing departments of League of Legends and Legends of Runeterra. It was moved away from the writers, and it was thank you very much for that gift sub, Real Jurassicer. It was moved away from them and given to the entertainment division of Riot, and that's the division of Riot that was responsible for putting out Arcane, that has been responsible for putting out like multimedia projects. Like they were a lot in control of stuff like KDA, for example. And that was a huge shift of power and a huge shift of structure inside Riot. And part of the reason why, for the last year, there has been basically no lore whatsoever is because that turnover created internal chaos at Riot. A lot of the writers were very, very unhappy with that decision because it just, basically they were told that everything that they've been working on, everything they were planning, everything that they were going to do with the lore in League of Legends has just been cancelled, and fuck you. And so a lot of them left. There was a huge exodus of writers. There was a huge exodus of staff who worked on the lore, people who had been like holding the strings and holding the ropes on the lore for Riot for many years left because, I mean, they were basically told to their face like that their efforts were not appreciated. So there's a lot of drama about that internally. And what Riot is doing, what Riot wants is for Arcane, because this is the first time League of Legends lore, League of Legends storytelling has been successful in the mainstream, is they want to capitalize on that, right? Like we finally have something that's popular with the mainstream. We want to reframe our product so that it capitalizes on this new audience, right? And I'm working on a video why all of this is a terrible idea, but what they're saying here now is that they want to bring Arcane into League of Legends more, right? Which is why I'm thinking like there's an Arcane themed visual update. I am 100% sure it's going to go to Victor. Like 1,000% it's going to go to Victor. Like he's going to be the one that they're going to turn into Arcane Victor, away from glorious evolution, herald of blah blah blah, right? Because he's the one who's most different from what he is in League of Legends. And presumably they're going to try and hey Nikki,
what is Vi?
Yeah, Shyvana and Mbessa, I'm hoping.
Champion review in the bottom corner of the screen there, since a major talking point of the video was about how there is no other female champion in the game built like her. And now we got Shife and Mbessa. Today is a glorious day.
Yeah, it's like, those are good signs, but it does indicate that Riot has like really, really committed to making Arcane the center of League of Legends lore. And that's gonna cause fucking disasters. Like, that's gonna cause huge problems. And it will potentially weaken Arcane itself quite badly as a product, which, again, working on a video about it. But it's interesting because that opens the door. Remember, like, Arcane Season 1, they were working on Singed as a League of Legends champion. Like, they already sort of had the idea of making Singed, Silco a League of Legends. Singed is already a champion. Silco a League of Legends champion. That didn't work out for them for various reasons. They couldn't really find a power source for him. He didn't really work as a League of Legends champion, so he came to TFT instead. But instead, we got Renata Glask in League of Legends, right? To sort of bring that same archetype, like a Zonite Chem Baron, into League of Legends. Conspiracy Brain tells me that if they're saying that they want to bring more of League of Legends into Arcane, they're probably also going to want to bring more of Arcane into League of Legends. Then they're probably also going to bring more of of League of Legends into Arcane. So maybe, just possibly, potentially, maybe Renata Glask shows up in Arcane Season 2 or 3. Maybe. If there's a Season 3. There's not going to be a Season 3. They've said there isn't going to be a Season 3. I don't believe them. Maybe Renata shows up in Arcane. Maybe. I have 1 tiny percent of hope. 1 tiny percent of hope that Renata Glask shows up in Arcane. But anyway.
Arcane Season 2 will have Arcane-inspired gameplay and a new VGU, new skins, as well as a few other surprises. I am so excited for the new season. I hope you are too. Can we show them a clip? Maybe just one?
Okay, one, but just a short one.
Thank you for the gift subs, and thank you for subscribing, McCollin. Okay, so let's talk about animating on 2s, right? Like, because when you're doing animation, generally you can animate to the frame rate of the film, which is animating on what? Kidding. I'm kidding. Right. So, I do have a few things to say about this clip. So it's really, nothing new is really happening here, right? Like, we know that Warwick is gonna be in League of Legends because they teased him at the end of Arcane, right? Like, we know that Warwick is gonna be in Arcane Season 2. We know that it's Vander. We know that Singed was working on that. We saw that. So nothing new there. We also know that Singed is apparently... We don't know exactly what the relationship is. Singed might be Oriana's dad. Possibly her father, right? But we know that Singed is connected to Oriana. And my assumption has always been that all the work that Singed has been doing, like all of the messing around with the chemicals and like trying to create the medicine and making shimmer and all the experiments that he's doing are all about trying to save his daughter. Right? Maybe Oriana is the VGU. It's possible. Like, it depends. If Oriana has a big role in Season 2, then yes, Oriana could be the character who gets the visual update. She does need it more than Victor, I will say. But... like, the assumption I've always had is that everything he's doing, all the science experimentation he's doing, is because he wants to save Oriana. Like, he wants to heal her, he wants to revive her, he wants to... whatever it is. He wants to bring his daughter back, he wants to save her. I don't want him to retcon Corrin Revek. Yeah, I mean, Corrin was never a big character in League of Legends. He showed up in Convergence, but yeah, I assume Corrin Revek is going to get retconned away. But my assumption has always been that Singed is doing all of this for Oriana. And so it's interesting that he's feeding his own blood to Warwick here. And putting his own blood into Vander. Because, like, transfusions of blood to someone as a visual metaphor, as a storytelling thing, they tend to mean, okay, there's like a blood bond between me and this person, right? And again, that makes me think that what he's doing here is he's testing a process that he's going to use on Oriana, hoping to save her. But like he's using Vander as like a test dummy for what happens if I take my shimmer infected, like fucked up scientist blood and put it into someone to try and see if it works. And then Vander is gonna like freak out and wake up and run away, and then Singed is gonna try and hunt him down because he needs him for his experiments, that kind of thing. But I'm also curious because like one way of looking at this is that Singed is feeding his blood to Vander. But what if it goes the other way as well? What if Singed is also taking in Vander's blood into himself, like the blood from Warwick, having been processed in his body and with all the chemicals that are going on in there? What if it's also about like trying to, because that's what he did with what's the name of the lizard? Like the little lizard friend that he had, Rio. That's what he did with Rio. Is that he used her as a means to create Shimmer, right? Like she was a source for Shimmer that he was making it from. What if he's trying to do that again? Like he's trying to use Warwick as a factory within which to create a new serum or formulation that is going to be used to do whatever it is that he's going to try and do. Like, what if he's not only feeding his blood to Warwick, what if he's also getting blood from Warwick, and that's going to be why he has his regeneration powers and why he's so strong and why he can do the things that Singed can do in game. I'm wondering if that's what they're going with that. And part of the reason why I think so is what we open with is Singed clearly being kind of fucked up. Like we have this blurry vision, we have all this like Singed just sort of like lolling his head and like barely sort of conscious. There's a lot of focus on his damage, like the explosion, like all the damage he's taken to his eye and to his face and like his bandages. So what if this is also him trying to prolong his own life? Because he also is dying. Like, what if this is the origin of the insanity potion? Yeah, exactly. Beyond that, there's not a lot of information to find here. They're just re-emphasizing that, yeah, Warwick is going to be a big deal in Arcane Season 2. Because it kind of looks to me like the blood is going both ways in those tubes a little bit, so... Anyway, moving on.
Hey everyone, I'm Evan Humphreys, aka Riot Revenancer, the lead system designer for our Motivations team. We're responsible for creating and maintaining the various systems around the game like
let's see,
loot,
Champion
armor,
Mastery,
and
I don't care that much about that, but modes, I'm interested in.
Hey everyone, I'm Eduardo Cadmus Cortejoso, and I'm a team lead for game modes on League of Legends.
Hi, I'm Selena Chuchu Chang Liu, the delivery lead on the modes team.
So last year, we released Arena and we received a huge amount of support from all of you. We brought it back in December to test out some changes and make some improvements. We're happy to share, though, that it's coming back again in the first half of this year with even more improvements. Our goal for the next iteration of Arena is to increase champion diversity, improve game-to-game variance, and foster even more experimentation. One of our favorite parts of Arena is the ability to play some fun and wacky combinations that wouldn't and maybe shouldn't work in Summoner's Rift.
Arena is one of the game modes, like, whenever I have been tempted to get back into League of Legends, it's been because of game modes. Like the Odyssey game mode brought me back when that came out years ago. The Star Guardian game mode brought me back when that came out years ago, because like that was something I could do where I could play League of Legends without having to play, you know, League of Legends. So I'm really hoping that Arena or something casual and fun like it become a regular part of the rotation, because like ARAMs are just not that interesting to me ultimately. I think they're too predictable as a gameplay thing. Arena feels like something that could be more long-term fun.
So we want to encourage that with some more targeted changes to gameplay and game balance. The biggest change you'll see is that we're increasing the number of teams from 4 teams of 2 to 8 teams of 2, for a total of 16 players in each game of Arena, making Arena a 2v2, v2, 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 v2. This means that you'll face different teams more often, have more chances at redemption, and maybe get out early or crush the competition if you're really doing well.
You can also expect to see some new augments, new maps, and some other improvements that we're still right now exploring. Outside of Arena, we are also bringing back more game modes this year. Earth will be back for Lunar New Year, and then we'll be following that up with One for All. We'll be sure to update you later in the year about what modes are going to come out after that. Oh, and one last thing. Even with all the work happening on Arena last year, we still have something else cooking behind the scenes.
We're experimenting with yet another new mode that, like Arena, will be a totally different take on core League gameplay. But unlike Arena, this will be a little bit more of a chill way to spend time with your friends. We don't want to spoil too much yet, so we'll be back later this year to share more.
Good luck, have fun, and we'll see you in ARAM, Arena, Earth, OFA, and TBD.
Nico's prop hunt would be good.
Last year, we spent some time behind the scenes working on updating League's anti-cheat and bot detection software, as our current version had fallen behind the times. This was compounded by the security breach earlier in the year, which increased our vulnerability to botting and cheating. And a pretty consistent piece of feedback that we've been hearing from you all is the high number of bots in games, disrupted smurfs in ranked, and an increase in scripting. We know this has been a consistent pain point in League, so it's been something we've been working on fixing.
One of our goals this year is to maintain and improve the competitive integrity in all of your League games, whether it's in ranked or normals, Clash, Arena, whatever. So in late February or early March, we're bringing Vanguard to League. Vanguard is our proprietary anti-cheat and anti-botting software that's been active in Valorant since the beginning. We've seen a huge amount of success in their ability to catch and stop cheaters in their games, and we expect to see similar results when we implement it in League.
Similar to Valorant's version of Vanguard, Leagues will run at the kernel level. This is becoming standard for strong anti-cheat software in gaming, as cheat and bot makers are quick to adapt. If you don't run at this level, they will, and thereby evade all of the anti-cheat software as a result. Now, Vanguard offers us the ability to catch bots and cheaters as quickly and effectively as possible. It also gives us the opportunity to do things like hardware ban offenders and terminate matches in which a cheater is detected, refunding loss of LP for everybody except the person cheating, of course.
Now, we know that there's a question and concern of data privacy around kernel-level anti-cheat. This is something that came up with Vanguard and Valorant as well, and we want to take a moment to tackle those concerns up front here. Vanguard does not collect or process any personal information differently from our current anti-cheat software.
Bullshit. So that's why I was quiet. I wanted to let them talk, but bullshit. Bullshit. From top to bottom, bullshit. Everything they're about to say about Vanguard, everything they're about to say about it, is bullshit. And it's not because Meddler and Bright Moon are lying. They're not standing there lying to people's faces because they're twirling their mustaches, thinking, aha, we shall gather so much private personal data. That's not why. The reason why it's bullshit is because the incentive to use Vanguard in that way, the incentive to collect that data is there. The necessity of collecting data is there. They have to collect data, otherwise the anti-cheat can't work. It has to collect data on you, and that data has to be stored in order to validate the decisions of the anti-cheat kernel, of the kernel level anti-cheat, right? And to stand there and like not that these two men necessarily know that they're lying, but to stand there and say that, hey, don't worry about it, we're definitely not gonna collect any data beyond what our current anti-cheat software already does. It's like, yeah, how much data does your current anti-cheat software collect, though? Just wondering. And what guarantee, what enforceable guarantee, what possible way does the end user have of protecting their privacy from your system if you decide to misuse it? If you decide to change, like, oh, we're pushing out a change to our terms of service next year. It's just a few updates. Don't worry about it. Just click agree right here to agree to the terms of service. Don't worry about it. All of a sudden, they can collect more data. Like, there is no reason, none, zero, no reason whatsoever why anyone should ever trust a tech company that says we are not going to collect your data, because they have every incentive to do it. And history shows over and 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 over again that tech companies cannot fucking help themselves because capitalism. Like, that data that they have, the data that they have to collect in order for this anti-cheat to work overall, that's a source of revenue. That's an exploitable source of revenue that can be repackaged, that can be analyzed, that can be sold, that can be used as a means of generating profit for the company. They have no reason not to. Zero. And you can't trust them on that, ever. Like, just want to put that out there. And that's like, this is one of those intractable, fucking impossible things, because they're gonna make it mandatory, right? Like, you want to play League of Legends, you want to play anything from Riot Games whatsoever of any kind, sorry, you're gonna have Vanguard on your PC, and if you don't want it, fuck you. And like, so there's not much we can do about it on an individual level except stop using their fucking products. I can't, because this is my job, I do this for a living. You can, maybe. But it's like, don't trust them on this. Ever. Like, when they say this shit, know that the company is lying. Even if the two people standing there, like, they're saying what they're supposed to say, they're saying what they've been told by corporate. Like, corporate is also lying to them, right? The corporate side of Riot is also lying to their developers, saying, we'll definitely not collect any data that we're not supposed to collect. From these programs, definitely not. Don't worry about it. We would never do that to our players. And then the developers go out and say, yeah, we're not collecting that data for sure. Like, we have been reassured and promised by our management that that's not going to happen. And then Riot is going to fucking do it. They're going to fucking do it. They're going to collect data that they're not supposed to be collecting. They're gonna mess with computers. They're gonna run experiments. They're gonna do shit because that's what tech companies do. Right? It's what tech companies do. It's what they're built to do. It's how American capitalism functions. You can't trust this shit ever to not collect that data. And people in chat are talking about European data laws and stuff like that. Like, yeah, Europe does have better data legislation than the US does. We do have better checks and balances. But the chance, first of all, of enforcing any of them on Riot are slim. And the chance that enforcement is going to be a fine, and if they make more money from doing it than the fine is going to cost them, then there is no disincentive. There's no reason not to do it. And besides that, Tencent doesn't give a shit, because Chinese data protection laws do not apply to non-Chinese citizens, and they don't even apply that much to Chinese citizens either if the government wants to know something. So, like, no, like, this is bullshit. Like, oh, it's definitely not going to collect any data more than, like, that. Bullshit. 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 Just wanted to say that. It's not, I don't have a solution to this problem. It has to be solved on a political level with legislation that prevents them from being able to do this and throws people in jail if they break the law, which, you know, but listen, data collection, any data that any tech company collects ever is a source of revenue. And expecting a company that operates under the logic of capitalism not to, like, attempt to monetize a source of revenue is like expecting fire not to burn.
We don't need or want to know anything more about you or your machine other than what is necessary to maintain integrity when playing our games.
Bullshit.
Now, if you already have Vanguard installed because you've played Valorant, you won't need to do anything else and you can continue as normal. But if you haven't, starting in a few weeks, you'll be required to install Vanguard in order to play League.
We know that this may be a meaningful change, but we're very confident it will lead to an overall better League experience.
It might. Like, I want to say that also. Like, the anti-cheat software might be really good. It might lead to a better League of Legends experience, but they are lying. Like, Riot Games, the corporation, is lying when they say that they don't want to collect any more data than absolutely necessary. Yes, they do. They do want to do that. They want to do that very badly because that's a source of revenue.
For everyone. We'll be sure to communicate with you all as the changes go live and to let you know how things are going afterwards. All right, we're going to hand things back off to the dev team now for an update on some of the skins coming to League this year.
Broken Reality, it's not going to be a Chinese company that's stealing your data. It's going to be an American company. Like, I fully support you uninstalling League of Legends. Like, that, it's a healthy decision for your life. But it's not going to be a Chinese company doing it. It's going to be an American company doing it. And they might sell that data on to Chinese companies and French companies and, like, South African companies and whatever other companies where they can make a buck out of selling it. But it's going to be an American company doing it. Like Riot is owned by Tencent, but Riot is very much an American company. Like, keep that in mind.
Like trying to craft a unique fantasy where you can't have any kind of costuming on the stretch locations and like the thighs, the knees, the elbows, so you're kind of isolated to
Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie 100 Piece Nuggets Leong, the skins team lead.
And I'm Thomas Ranby, aka Riot Hylia, the
So, Riot Hylia, by the way, this is going to be a happier section. Riot Hylia is a good egg. He was a League of Legends fan artist for many years. Created a lot of cool fan redesigns of Caitlyn, and eventually came to work for Riot and had a big role in the visual update that Caitlyn got in the aftermath of Arcane. So, like, he's a good egg. He's a really good artist. And he does a lot of good work for Riot. Just wanted to shout him out.
Today, we're going to talk a bit about some of the upcoming thematics for League, some of our goals for 2024, and we're going to give you all an update on our ASUs. But first, I believe we owe you an updated Prestige skin list.
Yes, we do.
Ta-da! Oh.
In the first half of the year, you can expect Prestige skins for Rakan, Ezreal, Kindred, Evelynn, and Kayle in that order.
I should do a video about Prestige skins, shouldn't I? I think I should. Because Riot did a terrible job communicating what Prestige skins are supposed to be now. They did a really terrible job communicating what they're supposed to be and how we're supposed to think about them, and like what kind of how they're supposed to be understood as artistic products. And I didn't get it for a while either. Like, I didn't quite understand what the fuck they were doing. But it has actually turned into something that I think is quite cool, and I do want to talk about it.
We'll be back later in the year to give you all an update on the second half of the year. We also wanted to give you all an update on our 2 ASUs. Lee Sin's base is finalized, and we...
So, Lee Sin, as far as I can tell, it's a very conservative VGU. Like, really, they're just making him look like he does in Legends of Runeterra. Like, they're really not doing anything to him. They're just making his model not look like crap anymore. And that, I think that's probably fine, like, for Lee Sin. He's such an iconic League of Legends champion at this point that you kind of can't change too much about him. Still, like, again, as ever, I'm always going to be like, hey, but what if? Like, what if you had the chance to do something more? Like, what if you had the chance to be more interesting with him? Like, what if you had the chance to, like, do something more with his dragon tattoo, like, do more with dragon aesthetics generally on the champion? Like, what if you had to, but they're basically just gonna make him look okay for what he is.
And we've been working through his extensive skin catalog. We spent a lot of time testing out his animations to make sure we didn't impact his smooth gameplay, and have been sure to similarly focus on this with his skins. We're really excited to put him and his newly unbroken neck into your hands, and you can expect to bring him onto the Rift in early May. We did want to give you a heads up that we
I'm a little sad he doesn't have any visual token from Udyr. Yeah, exactly. Like, there's things like what they've shown so far doesn't show any signs of his connection with Udyr, which is like, come on. Like, let him have a thing from his boyfriend.
have run into a few challenges with Teemo. Such a troublemaker.
Mischievous.
Ugh, seriously. His ASU is taking us a bit longer than we originally intended, and we're currently figuring out our updated timelines, but we'll be back with an update later this year with a sweeper to let you know when to expect an updated Swift Scout on the Rift.
All right, now on to the new and returning skin thematics of the year. So first up, we're going to be celebrating the Lunar New Year with a brand new thematic called Heaven Scale, which pays homage to the rich cultural heritage of the holiday. In the world of Heaven Scale, a curious court of deities take on human guises and descend from their palace.
See, that's interesting to me.
In the clouds to take part in the mortal celebrations below.
Kaisa's getting one. Of course she is.
Guises and
I'm pretty sure that's Lee Sin. That's a Lee Sin skin for that event. Doesn't look a lot like him, but, you know.
From their palaces in the clouds to take part in the mortal celebrations below.
But that's kind of interesting to me that they're sort of going for more of a... Because, like... And Thomas is going to talk about this in just a second in the actual thing, but... Past Lunar Revel skins, like past Lunar Celebration skins, have had a tendency to go for streetwear, right? Like, they have had a tendency to go for, like, streetwear and, like, modern aesthetics and modernized cool aesthetics. And I've never liked that very much. Like, I don't think they have ever been very good. They've always been kind of bland. Like, especially Lunar Beast, I thought was a really fucking bland skin line. Firecracker had some personality, but not a lot. This, I think, is like, okay, we're trying to do something with, like, historical wuxia fashion, or the historical mythical fashion. bringing some of that idea, like that, I think is visually interesting. Like that has a lot more interest, like visual interest that you could create. Like imagine Kai'Sa if he was just wearing like cool, like modernized tech wear, and I would be kind of snoring. But this looks like okay, yeah, like that makes sense as a thing. Like you have a god who has 2 floating orbs that like they use to project their power into the world. That makes sense. Like that makes more sense as a thing. So I'm interested in this. Like, I don't know that it's gonna be great, but I'm interested in it. And as someone in chat points out, yeah, Kai'Sa once again getting a skin where the fact that she's wearing a symbiote bodysuit doesn't fucking matter. Yeah. Yeah.
So Heavenscale's design fantasy skews a bit more heavily into ancient historical divinity and garments in order to distance itself from our more modern takes on the Lunar New Year, like lunar beasts or firecracker. We wanted to take care to preserve the majestic and beautiful designs while also keeping a fun and celebratory tone in line with the spirit of the holiday. We also have another brand new thematic coming up that delves into a world where primal instinct reigns supreme, called Primal Ambush. Primal Ambush draws heavy inspirations from the refined skill of martial artists and the raw, fierce strength of tigers themselves.
So I don't know about this one. I like the furry bait. I think that's cute. This seems to be drawing on something that I don't fully understand. Like, which is like Southeast Asian aesthetics and mythology, and so I don't want to say too much on it.
Refined.
So it seemed to be Vi.
Instinct reigns supreme, called Primal Ambush. Primal Ambush
Vi, Talon, and Sivir. Yeah.
The refined skill of martial arts.
Which, like, I like the use of tiger stripes. Like, I will say this about, like, the concept art that they're showing, is that the use of tiger stripes all over the character model to create visual interest, I think that's pretty cool. Especially on Talon, like, that works quite well with the way that his cloak is put together, and then giving him, like, tiger claws on the coat. That's quite cool. It's a little boring that it's just a bunch of, like, generically hot characters. Like, I feel like League of Legends, like, there's a lot of potential for furry skins in this game, like where you, like actually like just make them an actual furry skin, and I feel like surely there must be money in that, right? Like, surely if you put out a horny furry skin as like a mythical chroma thing for $300 or whatever, like some suspiciously wealthy furries would fucking lap that shit up. So, like, it's a little, like, that it's just humans with, like, cat ears is a little,
and the raw, fierce strength of tigers themselves. We wanted to show some love to our Southeast Asian players in particular.
But, like, I like what they're doing with the tiger stripes. Like, the tiger stripe motif all across the bot is a little visually noisy. I don't know how that's going to look in-game, but I like it as a concept.
With this thematic, we really drew a ton of inspiration from that region, the fashions of those cultures, where tigers naturally live and hold a great deal of cultural significance.
We'll also
yeah,
have
that was
the return
Ribbon.
of some established thematics like porcelain, recent favorite fairy court, as well as some well-loved thematics we haven't visited in a few years, like Project and Blood Moon, and you can expect to see all of these come out before summer this year.
We've also been taking a look at some improvements we can make outside of just what new skins are releasing. So some of our older legendaries, for instance, were released before we started adding content such as legendary borders. So we're going to be going back to add them to skins that missed out. This includes skins such as Broloff, Corporate Mundo, and Dragon Trainer Tristana. Trist will actually be live in just a few days.
And finally, we have some skins coming out for champions who haven't had as much love in a little bit. As of filming, Rammus is currently sitting, in the 1000-Day Club. And
okay, let's take a look at that Rammus skin.
Sitting,
so is that Durian Rammus? I think that's Durian Rammus. I quite like that, actually, as a concept. I think that's very cute. He's still gonna be stuck with his ass old animations, right? Like, my boy needs a fucking visual update so fucking badly. Rammus looks so bad in motion. But that's a great concept for a skin. Like, that's genuinely an amazing concept for a Rammus skin. Durian.
Cousin Day Club, and Olaf is hot on his tail.
All right, well, that's it for us for now. We're going to hand things over to the esports team, who will give you an update on the competitive side of League that we definitely should have been drafted for.
Yep, absolutely.
Silver 2.
I am iron.
Okay. So esports, I don't really have much to say about it. I don't follow it as closely as I used to. I think it's fun that MSI is actually going to matter a little bit more to Worlds. That's going to make it maybe more worth watching that event. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
All right, before we go, we wanted to remind you that we're celebrating a special birthday for League this.
Oh, right. They're introducing a Hall of Fame for League of Legends. Put Faker in it, and then just don't put anyone else in it. That's what I think they should. Just put Faker in it, and then not put anyone else in there ever. I think that would be incredibly fucking funny. I think they should do that, but they're not gonna. Like, they're probably gonna put in a bunch of players where it's like more politically motivated than actual accomplishments, because that's how esports tends to work. But you know,
Here, we are turning 15. We are so close to being able to finally drive a car.
Ari means I'm mad at Faker. Why are they mad at Faker? Who cares? Who wants an esports skin? Who wants an esports skin for Ari? Like, oh, it's an SKTT1 Ari. Woo, who wants that? Who cares?
But we're looking forward to celebrating with you all later this year. We're not doing new game announcements this time. This year is all about League and celebrating our 15th birthday with all of you.
So that little thing he said there depresses me a little bit, that they're not going to announce any new games for the 15th year anniversary, because I'm like, what about Forge? You're not going to announce any Forge games? You're not going to... What about Forge games, though? What about Forge games? Are you still making Forge games? I would like you to still be making Forge games, because they're the best way to engage with the League of Legends lore that you've ever made, because you don't want to do it in League of Legends itself. So what about Forge games? You're still making those, right?
Look forward to the celebrations coming in October. And as a reminder, don't forget to check out the dev blogs that go into more detail on some of the topics we discussed today. We'll also be back with our regular dev updates as usual after this video. So we'll be seeing you soon.
Best of luck on your climbs, and welcome to season 2024.
Okay, so in animation, there's a principle called animating on a particular frame, right? So if you're animating on ones, you're animating to the frame. Sorry, it's just a preview teaser of the season cinematic, because we're getting an actual cinematic this time, and not just a really shitty fly-through of a bad Unreal Engine Summoner's Rift with a pretty badly written poem read over it, which is cool. And I'm glad it's going to be Tryndamere. It's cool that we're going to get to see Tryndamere go on a rampage. Like, it's been a very long time since he has shown up in an actual cinematic, so I'm a bit excited for that. That's going to come out on the 10th, I think. And that was all of it. God. Oh, I see Nick Crit isn't too fond of of Smolder either. Yeah. Oh, it was nice to get those rants out. Boy, it was nice to get to shout about Smolder looking terrible, because, boy, Smolder just... that face. I just can't. I cannot with that face. Who do you think will be the Arcane VGU? Victor. I've said this already. I am almost certain it's going to be Victor. Like, the outside chance is that Orianna is going to be a big character in Season 2, because she's going to be Singed daughter, and, like, she's going to be turned into a robot or whatever. Outside chance that it's Orianna, maybe, possibly, but I am like 90% sure that it's going to be Victor. Like, I am certain enough to bet money on it. What did you think about Skarner's new VGU? I think it's fine. It's okay. It lacks some visual interest. For me, like, it's a little bit boring. Like, there's a lot of flat, dark teal on him that sort of lacks any visual interest, and I feel like there's a lot of opportunities for storytelling in his character design that they miss out on by not utilizing the real estate of his body fully for it. But that's, you know, that's whatever. It's Singed since it's also gameplay. I wouldn't know, because like Singed, the thing is, like, Victor in Arcane looks the most different from how he looks in League of Legends. Jace looks reasonably similar to how he looks in League of Legends in Arcane. Vi, Jinx, they both look reasonably similar to what they look like. Heimerdinger, same thing. Echo, same thing. Victor doesn't. Victor looks absolutely bugger all, and he's not gonna. Like, whatever his robot form turns out to be in Arcane, it's just not gonna look like he does in League of Legends at all. And he's one of the most popular characters from Arcane. So like it's gonna be Victor. And Heimerdinger got a visual update not long ago. He looks enough like he does in Arcane. I don't think they're gonna do that. I think eventually a lot, like, we'll get a lot of the champions will be updated to look like their Arcane incarnations. But like, they could also just do, like, Heimerdinger could just get an Arcane skin, the same way that Echo and, like, Vi and Caitlyn and Jinx did. But you really can't do that with Victor, I don't think. Like, that's too difficult. His gameplay is still solid. I mean, they'll probably do some quality of life updates, but no, he's getting a... I think it's Victor. But Singed is super ugly, he needs it. Yeah, but like, being ugly serves Singed as a character a lot more than it does for anyone else. Like, Singed is ugly. It's like, he's like fine. He doesn't need it in the same way that I'd say that like Victor does as a champion. But it really, like, I'm still on the train that they should stop. Like, they should just transition their entire production over to doing visual updates for old champions, because they fucking need it a lot. They need it very badly. Corki still looks like shit. Kog'Maw looks like shit. Cho'Gath looks like shit. Zillion looks extremely like shit. Riot really, like, they've promised over and over and over again that they're going to do maintenance on their old champions, and they just never really do. It's something that I want them to like, just take 1 year, 2 years, where you put everyone on making as many VGUs as you can. Just give them a new model, like, whatever. But, you know. Lore Singed and gameplay Singed are two different creatures. Yeah, always has been. Always has been. But yeah. Anyway, I think that's really all I wanted to do today. Is I just wanted to watch that video, scream about Smolder, rant about Arcane a little bit, and just talk about some of the things they talk about there. So I think that's it. I think I'm gonna... Like, Nikki, you're not still streaming, are you? I can't raid you. Is anyone online that we should raid? Oh, I know who. Oh, no, she's not. Okay. Darn. I thought Rin was live, but I think she's taking a break. Ah, well. I'll send you over to Rin. Rin is a good artist. She's one of the old artists in League of Legends. Has done a ton of great fan art. She has some great Yordle OCs. She has the best Heimerdinger opinions. Ask Rin about her Heimerdinger opinions. I think she's on break just at the moment, but she'll be back in a second. Bye.